what you do for a living.
Right. Yeah, which makes a lot of sense, right? And real estate is very lucrative. That's why, I really wanted to get into it, but also help out, friends and family.
Absolutely. I got into sales kicking and screaming because I can't stand sales types, and I got someone that actually got me into commission sales when I was 18 or 19 years old, and then ended up doing real well at it. Then got my college degree, and then one of my colleagues said, or one of my regular clients actually said, you should get into real estate. And I figured, hey, if you're going to sell something or be in marketing or sales or something like that, why not be in the industry that sells one of the highest price points product, I guess is what you could say, services that you can do. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, but getting on these calls are probably a good idea. Hopefully, we'll get a couple more people that will get on here, and then we'll kind of talk about and just. I don't think you've been on one of ours before, but Kathy and I have a combined 70 years of experience
Oh, wow.
in real estate, and I personally just list houses. So we're going to be coming at this subject from Kathy works with our buyers agents to get our offers accepted and things like that. So she's going to come from a buyer's agent standpoint, and then I'm going to
Okay.
come more of a listing agent when I get offers. Kind of some of the stuff that I look at and that puts agents and their clients ahead of everybody else. So that'll be one of
Right.
the things that we'll be kind of going over. Um,
Okay.
and And I'm not sure in Northern Virginia if you've been talking. I mean, are you guys have you been talking with people as far as are you still in a multiple off? Do you still see multiple offers coming in your area?
Yeah, well, yes, as long as talking to other real estate agents and going to open houses, I've
Right?
seen some business pickup as far as those other real estate agents. For me personally, I'm just getting started, so
Yeah.
nothing yet on
So
my end.
you ask a lot. Hey, I see David. How about in your area? What area are you zooming in from?
I'm actually from Manitoba, Canada.
So well, Canada's market's just well, it's still North America. I mean, it's Canada's market's just as hot as ours. Are you still in multiple offer situations in your area?
Yeah, 20, 30 offers in the cities. In the cities, I'm
That's
actually a
because
little bit
all the
more rural.
Americans are moving to Canada.
Yeah,
Well, it's funny because Kathy knows I have a little legal situation going on in Canada, and my attorney there he's like, is Trump the big is that Trump the best that you can do? And is he says, Canadians are nice, but they don't like Trump.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I can only imagine, Trump's been very insulting and he hasn't been too nice to him.
Oh,
I
didn't you guys
actually,
realize that you guys are just going to connect to the United States now? You're going to be like,
hey, I'm honestly, I'm all in for that. Hey, let's make Canada the 51st state. That's what I think. That's my personal belief. But
yeah, your people down in Ontario don't agree with you. So,
no, no, definitely not. No.
so why don't we go ahead and you start recording?
Dinner.
So what we're going to talk about today is tips and tricks to get your offers accepted. And Dave, I'm not sure if I don't think you were on when kind of about Kathy and I is that we have a combined 70 years of experience. Kathy we have a small team. Kathy works with all of our buyers agents, get their offers accepted. I'm exclusively a listing agent, and there are definitely things that we look at when we're getting offers in. And so, what we want to do with this mastermind is kind of go over some of those things that are important in getting your offers accepted, some little tips and tricks. And we prefer to be interactive. So I know Abe just got into the business, but Dave, how long have you been in the business?
I'm going into year three now.
Okay, perfect.
You've been with
Uh,
Real all this time, or
I know, just switched over about a week ago.
what company were you with previously?
Previously, I was with Remax.
Oh, perfect. But so what we prefer to be interactive. So if there's specific transactions you're having trouble with, or you didn't get an offer accepted, just yell out, raise your hand, and then we'd rather answer a lot of your questions rather than just talking. And I do talk a lot fast.
Excellent.
I'm one of
Excellent.
12 kids, so I in order to survive, I had to.
He
So
got loud and tall. That's what he did.
Kathy's going to start with the first one. The number one most important thing when negotiating contracts, and it's something especially for the younger crowd. Dave, you look younger. Abe, I can't see a pic,
We old.
but Kathy's going to go over the number one most important thing.
Um, somebody keep a countdown how long it comes till he interrupts me. Okay, this is my biggest, most important thing in the world. And Dave wrote down communicate like your life depends on it, because it does. It just does. From step one, you show a house, your buyer shows some interest. First question I ask every one of my BAs when they come to me and say, I got to do this offer, what do I do? And I said, have you spoken to the listing agent yet? If you haven't spoken to the listing agent, I don't even want to talk to you. You need to know one, if you're going to call them, you think people are going to write an offer, call and give them your feedback. These are, you can text, you can put it in the form, you can do all that, but you're going to get so much information. If your people are really interested in this house, if you give them a call, it gives this listing agent the chance, and trust me, listing agents love to talk, to tell you everything they need from you if you're writing an offer. Possession, ideal closing, what's their big thing? Are they willing to give up a little money to get a little, to get a month in the house, after closing? It does so much for you. Give them your feedback, give them your stuff. How do they like to talk to you? If they don't want you to call them, if they're great, that's fine. If they want a text or an email, just be really succinct in your emails. Everybody likes to be kind and, sweet and all that, but you got to get your questions answered, right? So use your head, be kind, work hard, all that stuff, but get your questions answered in a clear fashion. So I am super big on pick up the phone. You can always confirm whatever you're doing in an email. That is my preferred, and that's what I want people to do to me. I want to talk to somebody if they've got questions. I don't want to go through 42 texts. I have a buyer's agent that's young and drives me bonkers, and she writes one line in every text. Now I have 10 ding, 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 dings at me. So anyway, that's the first thing I ask. Have you spoken to a listing agent? And it's great. I love it when people call me. Dave loves it. Guy called you this morning.
So let me expound on what Kathy just said. So the first thing is that, and I actually say make a phone call on your first first communication. And I think the one thing that drives me bonkers is when I have an offer sent to me, it shows up in my spam, and then the next day, and I check my spam like I check regular email, so I'll see it, but the gentleman or the young lady did not send me a text, did not send me a phone, didn't try to get a hold of me, and I'm just left there with an offer in front of me that I have no context on. The other part of that too is that if you're in a multiple offer situation, invariably there's going to be multiple offers that are going to be very similar to each other. So what you want to do is you want to find out what it's going to take to make your offer stand out. In closing and possession, well, a lot of times we have a term that says it's not always price, it's terms. So to some sellers, the closing and possession date might be more of a sticking point than price. And then the other aspect of it too is that just by clearly communicating, you're going to set yourself apart from other agents that aren't communicating, And it's going to be something that I take that as, if you're communicating with me up front, then you're going to communicate with me throughout the transaction. So you're already setting your client up for success, because I would rather work with someone that I know communicates. They call me and ask the right questions. And I know that I'm not going to have to do both sides of the transaction. So from a listing agent standpoint, that is huge. And there's agents in our area that get a reputation of we're going to have to do both sides of the transaction. And there's also people that will get the reputation that they try to get their offer accepted in, using escalation clauses and stuff, which we'll get to. And then they're going to try to renegotiate after the contractor's inspection. So communication is key. Definitely start with a phone call, and then absolutely ask, just like you would with your client, what's your preferred method of communication? I would ask the same thing of the listing agent. What's the best way for me to continue communicating with you? Okay.
Which means they're going to communicate back, right? You can tell them all you want, but it's, they need to come back to you. Anyway.
In one thing that we say at DMA is, if you want to make sure that you miscommunicate something, send it by text or email, because you cannot really put intent. You can't put intonation into that. And the best way to miscommunicate something is do it by text or by email. If it's something that's important, pick up the phone, call, and then follow it up with maybe a text or an email. Hey, I left you a voicemail. But I've seen too many things and too many deals die because a point in the transaction was miscommunicated by either the listing agent or the buyer's agent. Any questions on that first point? And have you had issues, like Dave, have you had any issues with that?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know if you said Abe or Dave, but
No, I said
Either
Dave, but just because
I haven't had any sort of. I mean, yeah, I can definitely issues like that, miscommunication. It's definitely huge across the industry. I personally, I'm the same way. I like to pick up the phone, give them a call, make sure that I'm understanding what they're saying. In Canada, we have a public remarks tab and then an agent remarks tab where we can. I'm not sure how it is down in the States, but just a little tidbit of information that the listing agent will leave for the on the agent remarks tab that I, a lot of the times I like to clarify that or any other questions that I have, my clients' questions, anything like that. What I like to do though is I reiterate what my conversation was over the phone with that agent, and I send them a follow-up text message confirming the information that I believe that I heard over the phone, just so that I have a confirmation of, this is what they said, and just so I can take that, for my records, right?
100%. And that's
I totally agree with picking up the phone. That's the totally separate. It's something that I don't do a lot of in my businesses. Newer agent going into year 3 this year. I've slowed down on my separate businesses, and I'm really trying to focus full time on real estate this year. Just yesterday alone, I was able to pick up or book 4 free home evaluations by simply picking up the phone, and it just shows that. And that's 4 people that might not have reached out to me had I not called them, right? Like I had sent up follow-up message. And I know it's, it's on the other side of, it's not what we're talking about, but it's just that it just shows what picking up the phone really does. People want to talk to you, and you're going to find out more information over a phone call than if you were simply to send them a text message. Hey, what's this issue about? Well, if you call them, you're going to find out what the full picture really is. And then you can as an agent, you should definitely be sending a follow-up text to confirm that for your records. This is my opinion, but yeah, no, I totally agree with you guys.
100%. And doing the listing part listings are the lifeblood of our business. And I have a common phrase that I use: whoever has the listings wins.
You list to last.
Yeah, because listings produce buyers, listings produce other listings, and you just use every listing to brand yourself and become the brand in your area. So it's huge. But yeah, and one of the things in this business, and Abe, you're going to figure this out, is it doesn't take much to stand out, because the reason we have this, be the 10% is we believe that 90% of the people in our profession are not professionals and they don't act as professionals. So simply by communicating and following up by with a text or an email, things like that, it's putting you in the 10%, and it is making you stand apart from the competition. So, the good part is it doesn't take much. The bad part is it's a low bar for our industry, but if you go through and you act professionally, you're going to get as much business as you want. So the next one, I'm going to kind of go over, and I know how important it is for me, and is that you got to write a clean offer. And I still get handwritten offers sometimes in this day of dot loop and things like that. I have boxes that are not checked for contractors inspection. I'll have $1 million house and it's a $500 EMD. I mean, it's just they're not well written. And when you're in a multiple offer situation, Kathy, we just had an offer come in this morning, and
A great offer, but I was so
it
excited.
wasn't a great offer because of, it wasn't a bad offer, but Kathy kind of said, "Oh my gosh, this is a well-written offer." Okay.
Can we pick her, please?
And Kathy sees, 100 sales contracts a week. And so when she sees an offer that's clean, and it doesn't happen very often where she sends me a text saying, "Oh my gosh, that was a well-written offer." But when you have 5, 10, 15 offers coming in, one's well written, and another one you can tell that they don't have boxes checked. It might be to their own client's detriment. But I mean, they've got, or they miss initials or signatures on it. I mean, it's something small like that, but it makes a big difference when a listing agent has 10, 15 offers. And when you see stuff like those types of offers, they immediately go to the bottom of the pile, because unless it's $10,000-15,000 above other listings, or they have escalation clauses and things like that. But a very well written offer is one of the first steps that you look at. You communicate with the agent, let them know that there's an offer coming, find out what the terms are that are really going to help the seller, and then put that to a contract and make sure that's all very clean, and put it in front of a seller or buyer, so that all they have to do is just sign off on it, because everything else is written. They don't have to counter some terms that should be in it. Or we'll see something where the closing is by the end of the month, a 30-day window for closing, and then it's a 45-day for getting financing. And we see a lot of that. It's like, did you look at a calendar? Did you really look at anything? Just so we have 2 or 3 people look at all contracts. Again, I've sold 5,500 homes. Okay. I have someone review every one of my contracts that I receive and that I write. I always have, because I want someone, because I may miss something. I am perfect, but every once in a while I make a mistake.
Every once in a while I'm more perfect.
Yes. But we have a checks and balances. So every one of our offers going out is going to look good. When our buyer's agents write an offer, it has to go through Kathy. And sometimes it'll go through some of our other ones if she has questions and things like that.
If I write an offer, I caught myself. Carrie caught some things, like I was just going too fast. And a lot of these things that pop up, that 45-day thing, it's because people have templates done and they don't stop to look. Does this make sense for this offer? It's just in their template. Oh, that's what it is. And but it makes no sense for what you're doing. And when somebody comes in and does it, did that offer that we got this morning, had she spoken to you?
Texted. She never
that's
physically
cool.
called me.
That's better than nothing. But I did have to say, I mean, I was so excited when I opened that. I knew we were talking about this today, and it was exciting to see, like, she stopped and thought about, oh, 75% down, and this is going to be helpful. And oh, by the way, I'm the lender on this. But she didn't, a lot of times, and we're allowed to do that, in case you didn't know. We're allowed to be the lender and the buyer's agent, and she had the capability of doing that, and that was fine. She's going to work her butt off to get this deal closed, would be my guess. But no hiding, no secrets, no oh, by the way, because everybody can't. Well, it wasn't her name on the pre-approval, but anyway, I teach my buyers agents. We have a stickler of an agent in here in town that does very high end houses, and I teach him if you sent this to Martin Bama, would you be proud of yourself? I mean, that's just it's like if you can't send it to Martin, don't send it. And that comes into pricing, making sense, doing stupid pricing things, doing, like Dave said, an EMD that, doesn't give the buyer any skin in the game. Oh, I can walk away from $500. Using your head about every step.
Well, and the other thing with the earnest money deposit, and that is something that drives me crazy, is it's called a good faith deposit. Okay. And so if there's multiple offers and then you've got a 500 and let's say it's a $500,000 house, and you put a $500 earnest money deposit. I know I tell my clients if it's a 500,000, you want to have between $10,000 and $20,000 to show that you're making the offer in good faith, especially in a multiple offer situation. And if I get something that's $500, I mean, a buyer will walk away from $500 all day long. Granted, they can get sued and things like that in other regards, but that just tells me that the buyer's not really serious. And I'm going to discount their offer, whether that's the intention that they're trying to give or not. That's the vibe I'm going to get. And then the other part is, like I said, set it up so that they want to, sign that or initial it the way it's written if they really want it. If you put a $500 earnest money deposit, I'm going to send it back and say, we're definitely going to be countering that. And to me, it just tells me, one, the agent doesn't know what the hell they're doing. And then the second thing it tells me is that the buyer is not real serious. So, and you think, Dave, it's just a 500 earnest money deposit. I mean, I want to put as little down as possible. I get the intention behind it, but I'm telling you what the translation is to a listing agent. Okay. But so writing a clean offer, again, it sounds more commonsensical. It makes a huge difference though, especially when it's multiple offers. That's really what we're kind of talking about. Number three, I'm gonna let Kathy kind of go over, which I know it's tough. This next one is kind of tough for some, but it makes a big difference, and we'll tell you why too. So,
yeah, it is hard to dictate to any buyer that comes your way about their lender. It's hard. It's something we struggle with. Everybody does. It's hard to tell somebody, "Are you freaking kidding me? You're using the VA people."
say that part
But
first. So
get there.
the third one is use a local lender, and then now why?
Aye.
Why?
All right. So yes, use a local lender. You're not always going to get to use a local lender. If you can't use a local lender, the first thing I ask my agents after I asked them, did you speak to the listing agent, is, have you spoken to the lender? Second question, I don't care. We're dealing with some stuff now where they're not local. The lender literally even called to find a local appraiser. So local lender, local appraiser. Doesn't mean that all the other lenders out there don't have local lenders in their pools of appraisers. You may do appraisals a whole lot different in Canada, but we don't have a lot of options. Lenders can't even know. They just send their requests into a pool. But I'm of two minds on what Dave's got down here. If you've got a multi-offer situation, I have no problems with the lender picking up the phone, call the listing agent, let them know what's been done on that pre-approval. Let them know if it's been underwritten through the desktop. Let them know I pulled credit, blah, 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 blah. You know, I know what's happened, not a pre-qualification, but a pre-approval. It's a whole lot different story, and to get them talking. So on my other side of this,
let me step on that just to give you the
no, let me finish. Hang on. Here's the thing that I want you to remember. If your lender is talking to the listing agent, they don't have carte blanche on talking to the listing agent. Sometimes they say really stupid things. Sometimes they say the wrong thing, and it goes to everybody because that's what they've put in their email stream, right? So if you have a good established relationship with a lender, he's going to know when you don't want them to talk. I just told Mark about a situation, our guy that we use. It's like, Mark, what the hell were you thinking? Sometimes they just kind of go a little too far, but in their excitement, they do want to be good, but be thoughtful about what you want your lender to say. So Dave, go.
So this just started happening probably about a year ago, where I now have lenders contacting me saying, "Hey, Dave, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is such and such. I'm the lender for," and they would tell me, their client that they wrote that had an offer. They knew it was a multiple offer situation, and they said, "Dave, I just want to let you know I have verified all these different things, and they're good to go. All we have to do is plug in an address, and we're ready to rock and roll." And so that does two things for me. One is that if I don't get that call, and there's a particular buyer that we're kind of, we like better than some of the other offers, we will normally pick up the phone and call the lender. So the fact that the lender is being proactive and calling me directly, give me that information, makes me, I'm not going to have to chase this lender. They're going to be communicative, whether they are or not. Doesn't, I mean, perception's reality. So it does that for me. And so that is extremely important because that lender makes a huge difference in our world. And again, and so a local lender, I know that it's probably going to be a local appraiser. And the times we usually have problems with appraisals when it's an outside lender. The other thing to be careful about with your lender is we have lenders in Michigan that suck and are known to overpromise and underdeliver, and they're huge companies. I won't mention the name, but the thing is if I get 10 offers and I get one with a pre-approval letter from that particular lender, it goes to the bottom of the pile because of our history. And again, this is a 33-year history and 5,500 deals. It has been something that's happened a lot. So be careful about who you're in business with, okay? Because that will affect you getting offers accepted or not accepted. Any questions? Was there anything else you want to add on lender?
No, but remind me at some point, since we're really talking about multiple offers, about how you negotiate them.
Well, we're gonna get to the
we're gonna do that. If we don't cover that, I want you to do that.
Yep. Any questions on lenders at all? And does it make sense? In a lot of times, your clients come to you with lenders already in tow. Okay.
Online lender giving them.
Yeah, 100%. but my whole thing with that is make sure that you're communicating with your client that, just so you know, like this one particular company, I understand that's who you reached out to and stuff like that. I can tell you right up front, it may give you a disadvantage in a negotiation process or in a multiple offer situation. You're free to use whomever you want to use, but I just want you to be aware of. And so, all we can do for our clients is provide them with information so they can make informed decisions of what they want to do.
They do have something to talk back, and comes back actually to the offer. If you haven't spoken to the lender prior to writing an offer, How do you know how fast they can get this deal done? You're out there because you got a template that says 30 days and you don't pay any attention to it. You don't ask, what if 27 days makes all the difference in the world? What if 25 days makes all the difference? What if it turns out, heck, this lady, well, I'm going to say Mishta, this person's actually a Mishta one and I need to add a week or I'm not getting it at all, or what, you know.
Can the lender realistically perform within the time frame that you put in the contract?
Yeah.
But also part of that communication process is, let's say it's huge. The quicker the closing, the house is vacant, and that's money that the seller is going to be saving. And let's say your client wants to close in 3 weeks, make sure the lender can close in 3 weeks. We just had one where our preferred lender just closed something in 2 weeks, which was, I don't think we've ever had going from full closing and possession, I mean, and appraisals and stuff like that, 2 weeks. So any questions on lender stuff?
Do you have to provide, David, or Abe, in your state too? I know Canada's just different, and it's always curious to me. Do you have to provide more than one lender? Do you even get into that boat?
So what I typically do, so you can't, I don't know the proper verbatim for it off the top of my head here, but you definitely can't just necessarily give one option every time. Like what I'll typically do with my clients is I'll say, okay, so I said, you know the difference between going to a bank and a mortgage broker? I'll clarify that first. And then once I know that answer, I explain them, the difference between a bank and a mortgage broker. The mortgage broker being able to have, at least in Canada, a bank, they'll run your credit history, and it's only good for that bank. If you go to a mortgage broker, you could have 40 plus different options from that one mortgage broker. It really depends on the buyer's financial position and if you know anything about that at this point. But after I make sure that they're aware of the differences, I'll ask them who they're banking with. And then if I have somebody within that bank that I've worked with in the past, that's typically who I'll recommend. I'll give them alternatives to other people that I've worked with that I know are good at what they do from other banks if it's up into their consideration. And I'll also give them a mortgage broker. I like to send as many people as I can to the people that I've worked with and I know do a very good job. And I personally, I prefer mortgage brokers because the right ones, they don't work a 9 to 5, they work a 5 to 9. So I want to be able to get a hold of them when I need to get a hold of them if I have to get a hold of them. And I, like you guys, like to make sure that I'm being kept in the loop. It makes, at the end of the day, it's the goal is to make the client happy. And the goal, if the client wants a home, we want to make sure that they can get that home. And I don't want the deal falling through because their lender can't hold up their side of the deal.
You guys only got, what's the max 3-year or 5-year mortgage that you can do in Canada?
5. Well, the 5's like the typical.
You can't do, they have to refinance every
5 years.
Yeah.
That's typical anyways. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
we don't have no
I'm gonna
25
to
or
go
30
look that
year.
up and find
yeah, no,
the
it's,
logic is so the banks are interesting. Shit.
Yeah.
I got a 2.25 mortgage. I'm not
well, it's
glad I'm here.
so I talked about my attorney in Windsor, and then when he found out I have a 2.5% mortgage, and we can write off the interest. I guess you can't do that in Canada. And he was he was very envious. But
yeah, I got a 1.82 right now on my property, but unfortunately it's ending in May, so it's gonna go up to probably about a 4, 3.5 maybe.
So your payment's gonna probably almost double.
Yeah.
That's craziness.
So the next one is going to be one of the big points in getting offers accepted, and it's going to be understanding some of the tricks of. I'm assuming you guys have escalation clauses in Canada. Do you, Dave?
Yeah,
like escalation clauses and appraisal gap language.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So what we're going to do is another key is understanding escalation clauses, appraisal gap language, and other types of enhancements to get your client's offer to the top of the pile. So I don't work with buyers a lot, but I've got one buyer right now that I'm working with, and they're like $1 million. between 1 and 1.3 million. And we have written
It's a big deal for us.
and we have written 4 offers and not gotten them accepted because they haven't wanted to use escalation clauses. And so we have come, and I'm using them as a kind of a guinea pig because they're going to now use escalation clauses. So what an escalation clause is, and Abe, you probably never heard of an escalation clause, is so let's say you've got multiple offers, house is listed at $300,000, and what you can do, and some agents don't like them, some listing agents tell you they won't look at escalation clauses, is you say buyer will pay $300,000 or they will beat your best competing offer by $2,000 up to a maximum of $350,000. Okay.
That's not the language, that's the thought.
No, it's just a thought process. And then, so if another offer came in at $330,000, you're basically agreeing to $332,000. Okay. So that is very prevalent in our market. Almost any multiple offer situation, there's going to be escalation clauses. And then the other strategy that gets involved in that is, so they've got it listed at 330. You've got a buyer that's willing to go up to 350, right? The buyer's going to have to basically come up and say, we're going to put appraisal gap language that we will pay up to $50,000 above any shortage in appraisal. Because the listing agent is basically saying, hey, we're just listing at 300,000. You can make offers all day long for 350. And, and some buyers expecting that they're just going to renegotiate if the house doesn't appraise. And that's what some people will do. But the next thing that most of listing agents are going to expect is, yeah, you can write that $350,000 offer, but there better be a $50,000 appraisal gap language, which basically says you're going to make good on the deal, even if it appraises for 320 or 300 or 330, you're going to make up that appraisal gap language, or you're going to make up that appraisal gap if the appraisal comes in short. Does that make sense?
To the table.
And Dave, have you had to use an escalation clause in your career, or have you had to use appraisal gap language?
To use anything like that to this point, no.
No. So we are doing that on almost every deal here. And so that's what can get our clients to the top of the heap. The problem is that, so one of the talking points that I have with my buyer is, so let's say the house is listed at 300,000 and we've got houses that are selling for 150, 200,000 over list price. Okay. So it's a tough conversation to have with your client. And the way I kind of do it, and I'm going to have Kathy give hers, is I'll say, hey, Mandy and Marty, this is my clients, Mandy and Marty. I'll say, if someone else offered $320,000 and you didn't get the house, would you be upset? It's listed at 3. If you offer 320 or 315, someone else offers 320, will you be upset if you don't get the house? Yeah, I think we would be. Well, then maybe you should offer 320. Marty and Mandy, if someone offered $330,000, you didn't get it, would you be upset? Nah, Dave, you know what? If they had to pay $330 to get it, that's fine. We'll just move on to the next one. And that's kind of what I kind of put in their head is, at what point would you be upset if you didn't get the house? And you have to do that in this market right now. Like I said, the 1 to 1.3 market right now is ridiculous. I mean, we're seeing the last one we did, there was 14 offers. And we wrote for 75,000 over list price, and they laughed at us. But we did not use appraisal gap, or we did not use the escalation clause, but I did use appraisal gap language, which basically they'll make good on it, whatever it appraises for. They'll pay what we're saying. Okay. That just gives more certainty to the seller. And then the more certainty you give to the seller, the more your offer is going to be considered. Waiving inspections is a big thing here, which I think is a big no-no. But we'll get people that will waive their contractor's inspection. That just takes away uncertainty for the buyer. Excuse me, for the seller. So anything you can do to take away uncertainty. But that's the type of things that we have to do in order to get offers accepted here. So if you get in that position down the road, if you haven't gotten into that, Dave, then
Yeah, you.
Yeah,
yeah,
for
if you haven't gotten into that yet, that means that you're probably still in a fairly balanced market, and it's not an extreme seller's market. But I've got friends in Toronto area, right outside Toronto, and they're in this. There's no supply in that area.
yeah, like as far as a good pitch that not a pitch, a good way that I like to explain it to my clients is that let's say your amortization period is 30 years at 4% interest. The question that I like to ask is for at 4% interest to add $20,000 to the offer price is that's roughly $95 a month. So is not getting this home worth not paying that extra $100 a month? Like, would you want to miss out on this home, or are you okay with paying $100 a month extra to make sure that you have a better chance at getting this home?
And trust me, they'll get more and more motivated as they miss out on opportunities too. So that they'll get stronger and stronger into, yeah, let's go over. And I've seen people lose 4 or 5 houses, and I'll be the listing agent, and they'll write for 50,000. I may not even have another offer because they just lost out on 4 or 5 houses, and
We'll take it.
they do not want to lose another house. So, but yeah, so that's a really good conversation. That's a good way of putting it to them as well.
So you do these 5-year mortgages, but they're amortized over 30 years, which would be the only way anybody could afford it.
Yeah, so renewals
I'm
every
just very
every 5
curious
years.
about this.
Yeah, after the 5 years, you're free to go to another bank if you'd like. After your contract's up, you can buy out early, of course. So I'm not a mortgage broker or mortgage lender, but as far as that goes, if you have a 3-year term, then after your 3 years up, you can choose what you want to do. You can do another 3-year, you could do a 5-year, you could do a 1-year, a 2-year, a 4-year, or you could switch banks and you could pay off your home completely. You could do whatever you'd like after your term's up.
That's very interesting.
I do have one question on that. Do the banks give you like their clients that are with them with the mortgage kind of a, hey, if you come back to us, we'll give you an extra 0.5% off as an inducement?
I don't know. Rates are pretty comparable because it's all through it's the Bank of Canada, I believe, that sets the rates, right? So it's I mean, if you don't ask, you don't know, right? Like if you don't ask, you could always ask for a better rate, right? Like and see what they have to say, right? You can negotiate on anything. Heck, I've went to Best Buy and gotten the on sale laptop for an extra $500 off, and this is a big corporation, right? If you don't negotiate, you don't know.
They can only tell you no.
That's right.
I'm big into negotiating.
Dave is the best bargain shopper you ever saw.
Within brick and mortar or whatever, I'll ask because for me it's just fun too, just to see what the reaction will be.
Yeah, exactly.
He's our special shopper.
So that's good information to have. So one thing I wanted to bring up though that we get a lot is we'll get multiple offer situations, and then we will accept a particular offer, and then what will happen is after the contractor's inspection, and a lot of times it's minor stuff, the buyer comes back and tries to renegotiate $10, $15, $20,000 off the price. And it's clear that what ended up happening is the agent told the buyer, or the buyer did it on their own, hey, let's just secure the get in primary position, and then we'll renegotiate after the contractor's inspection. And it is prevalent here. And there are agents that are known to do that. And they get that reputation that what they're trying to do is get their offer in primary position. and then they're going to come and try to put the screws to you after the inspection, and they don't really have any ammunition of it. I mean, it's like, needs a couple of GFCIs, and some paint chips and things like that. We're asking for 25,000. And so
I'll buy you an electrician for that.
And what I know has happened is the agent says, hey, let's just do this. Let's get in primary position, then we're going to renegotiate. And what I'm trying to tell people, and I'm not sure, is don't do that. Because one is that once you go through and you ask for a concession on a contractor's inspection, at least here in the United States, that constitutes a counteroffer. And if you had multiple offers and then you go through and do something like that, and to me, you're doing it in bad faith, it's not good faith. You're giving the seller an opportunity to just say, skip it, we don't want to deal with these people, and go to a different offer. Have you ever had that situation come up, Dave?
Yeah, like there's been things that have happened, and I just try my best to work with the other agent. I mean, in Manitoba, at least there's roughly 2,500 agents across the province, so it's not like it's a huge market where there's tens of thousands of us. And I mean, at the end of the day, the seller wants to sell their home, the buyer wants to buy the home. How can me and the other agent work together to make sure that happens fairly for both parties?
And the litmus test I use for going through a contractor's inspection is, and I tell my clients that right up front, because I'll get some clients that will say, well, Dave, we need to give us a little bit of room to negotiate on the contractor's inspection. And typically what I use the reasonable, being reasonable test. And so what I tell my clients is, we'll see what comes back on the contractor's inspection, and we'll go down. And a lot of times there's issues with the house that the seller has no clue about. In Michigan, it's mold in the attic, mold, and because of the
Hot, cold.
yeah, the way that our weather is, and the way that all these houses are so tight nowadays, you're typically going to have mold in an attic or in a crawl space or something like that. And so what we'll tell our clients is, a lot of these things that come up you have no idea about. And then we'll go through and say, this is what they're asking for. Do we feel this is reasonable? And I find that it works really well. The only time, like I said, the thing that I'm talking about is it's a blatant attempt to renegotiate after a contractor's inspection. And I would say it probably happens in our market 10 to 15% of the time. And what will happen, though, is if you have that happen a couple of times, like you said, Dave, is that the only thing we have in our industry is our name and our reputation. If you get a reputation for doing something like that, and there's 2 or 3 agents that I know do this for almost every deal, and it's my responsibility, it's my fiduciary responsibility to tell my clients, hey, the past 3 deals, this is what this agent did, and this is after the inspection, and it's up to my client to make the decision of what they want to do or not. We're just providing the information. But you want to speak to that?
For the pile. Those people they're just, and they're not the ones you want to work with. That's all there is to it. They're going to be that person. It's baffling to me that they do as much business as they do sometimes. But yeah, I mean, the other thing to remember, and I don't even know if you mentioned this, is that you're gonna send over an inspection request, and a lot of times with these people in particular, you got to remember, when you do that, you've just sent a counteroffer.
And they can go to another offer.
I've got a backup, buddy.
So
what?
What I think Kathy wanted me to talk about was almost contracts more from a listing agent standpoint as far as negotiating, I think is what she wanted to kind of talk about in a multiple offer situation.
Offers on your desk. What do you?
Yeah, so let me kind of go, especially Dave, since you're taking listings now and trying to figure out, so in a multiple offer situation, so I'll get six, seven offers in front of me, typically what will happen is one or two will come to the, or I should say, two or three will come to the top of the heap. And typically, if I get 10 offers, it's the same thing. One or two, two or three will come to the top. And then there's going to be minute differences between them. But the first thing you want to do is you want to pick, from a listing agent standpoint, is which buyer is the most desirable. So what I mean by that would be, let's say you've got two offers, they're virtually identical, or let's say you've got one that's conventional financing, and let's use a $250,000 price point. So we've got a listing for $250,000, and we've got someone with a conventional loan, and they're willing to pay $270,000. Okay, I've got another offer in hand. It's $260,000, and it's a cash offer. So we're gonna use Dave, since we haven't been through a lot of contracts yet. Dave, which offer is better, and how would you handle 270 conventional offer, and you're explaining this to your client, 260 cash offer? How would you, if you're going to give your client some advice, what would you say?
So what I do, let's say there's 10 offers on the table. What I'll do, the exact same. What I'll do is I'll make a sheet in front of my client, and it's kind of like a board with the seller's names, their offers, any conditions, any terms. If there's a financing condition, you mentioned contractor's inspection. In Canada, we call it a home inspection. So if there's a home inspection, any other kind of inspections terms, like I say, I'll put the price and I'll lay it all out. I'll have the 10 offers. I'll make sure that I send a text through the booking software that we use for showings, a mass text letting everybody know that I'm going to be presenting, and if they're going to be making any changes to their offer. Once that happens, I have everything written down in front of my client, and we cross out 7 or 8 of them. If there's a few clear winners, that's the ones that we focus on. And from there, ahead of time, I've explained to my clients already what the different conditions mean. If we run into a financing condition, what does that mean? If we run into a home inspection, what does that mean? Now in Canada too, just to touch on the home inspection, or in your case, the construction
contractor's inspection.
We used to call them home inspections.
The contractor's inspection. In Canada, we also have something called a PDS, property disclosure statement, which covers mold and stuff like that. So that's optional. Sellers do not have to fill that out. But if you don't fill that out, typically, with a rental, if it's a rental property, typically you're not filling that out because you haven't lived in the home. Now, if you've lived in the home and you're not filling it out, well, any agent's going to ask, well, why aren't you filling this out, right? So that's always going to be on their mind. So I always recommend to my clients, let's fill out the PDS, fill it out to you have to fill it out honestly, and that's them signing off on certain things on the home, covering mold and stuff like that. So that aside, then we look into the home inspections and stuff like that. To answer your question, if it was my own home, I'd be taking the lower offer that's guaranteed than the higher offer that's not guaranteed, or I'd be counter offering the lower offer to see if they would offer me what the conditional offer was.
You got it, Dave.
So first thing you want to do is you want to figure out which is the better buyer. And you kind of said that you would prefer to deal with the cash buyer because it's one less obstacle you have to overcome, which is the appraisal. Okay.
My goal is to educate the client. Once I've educated the client, I want them to make their own decision with guidance. I want them to make an educated decision is my goal. And the best way that I found to do that is lay out all our options, work with the serious options, and with the serious options, with them being educated ahead of time. Now it's up to them.
Yeah. So what I like is I love the word leverage. Leverage is my friend. And so first thing because my client, a lot of times, I 100%, my job is not to tell my clients what to do. My job is to arm them with all the information, so they can make an informed decision. But guess what happens 99% of the time? Dave, what do you think? Dave, what would you do? And so in that situation where I've got 260 cash offer, a 270 mortgage, is which buyer we would prefer to deal with, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and they say cash all day long. And if I ask a seller, and I'll give you a real quick, great way to get FSBOs on this is so what I tell my sellers is I like the cash buyer. I like the price of the other one, so let's leverage the 270 and let's go back and to the cash offer and say, hey, thank you so much. As you're aware, we got 8 offers. My sellers loves your buyer, the fact that they're cash. If your buyer's willing to go to 270, we will move forward with your offer right now. They'll sign off on it. And what happens 9 out of 10 times is you'll get the call back saying, hey, they're good with that. They want to get in that. They want the house. They're good with that. So what you just did is you just made your clients an extra $10,000 by leveraging the mortgage, the other offer. And that's why I encourage, even if houses we don't really want FHA or VA because we know that there's some issues with the house and stuff, I'm going to encourage FHA or VA offers because, especially with escalation clauses, a lot of times FHA, VA, they're going to jack the price up because they know they're a disadvantage. But when it comes to escalation clauses, that still boots up my escalation clause and my escalation number. The other part that I wanted to say is from a FSBO standpoint. Here's one of the ways that I don't cold call. I don't go after for sale by owners, but I'll have for sale by owners that will call me just because they know me, and they'll reach out to different realtors. A lot of realtors would just tell them, I'm not willing to go out to give you a value. And there was this one over on Cross Street, 314 East Cross, where they called me and said, hey, Dave, we know you do a lot of business here. Would you come out and give us a market evaluation? We're going to do it for sale by owner, but we'd like to get a value. And I said, oh, absolutely, 100%. My job as a realtor is just I want to make sure that the integrity of the values in the area are where they should be and things like that. 100%. And they go, really? We've called 5 or 6 realtors and they wouldn't come out. And I said, oh, no, absolutely not. No, hey, if you decide you want to go for sale by owner, by all means, I get it. I understand it. But let's meet. So anyways, we go through the whole presentation, everything like that. And then at the end I'm going over their estimation of proceeds and their marketing plan. And I said, just out of curiosity, so you're doing it for sale by owner. Someone came in and offered you, and I use that same scenario. Someone offered you 270 with a mortgage and 250 cash. What would you do? And they said, oh, 250 cash all day long. There's too many. There'd be issues and stuff like that. And we do the 250. I said, oh, okay. Are you interested in what I would do? And they go, yeah, absolutely. I said,
free advice here.
And I said, here's what I would do is I've got 270 on the table. I've got 250 cash buyer. I agree with you. I'd rather deal with this cash buyer, but why not leverage the 270 and go, hey, to the cash buyer, we've got multiple offers. If you can go to 270, we will go move forward with your offer. And then let's say even worst case scenario, say we're not going to go 270, we'll do 260 cash. Okay. That seller would have been willing in a for sale by owner situation to accept 250 cash, and they would have just accepted that. Okay. I can get them an extra 10, 20,000 just from them thinking about that. And so I went through the whole process and the whole thought process, and they go, we probably shouldn't be doing this on our own, should we? Because we wouldn't have even thought of that. We wouldn't have even thought of leveraging the 270 offer and things like that. And then just in getting 10 grand, any money we would have saved by doing it for sale by owner, because we're probably paying a percentage to the buyer's agent, we would get your services, have a professional dealing with this, and you probably get more money for the house. I didn't have to say that. They said that to me. And I can tell you that I get for sale by owners. And again, I don't call FSBOs. I don't call expireds, and shame on me. But when I go to listing appointments like that, and I put that question out there, they go, we may be in over our head. Why don't you just list it? So that's a great way of getting for sale by owners, but you don't tell them you shouldn't be doing it. This is not you already have a job. We do this full time. You're an idiot for trying to do it on your own. I'm never going to say any of that. I'm going to say 100%. I totally support that. Most realtors are idiots anyway. I get it. So let me just come over and help you with the price and everything like that. But you put that in their mind, and they're going. And then I just went over my marketing plan, which it's like, oh my, you do all that? We can't do all that. I know. And then you go over the negotiation part. Then it just kind of goes, we're in over our head. So that's a great way of dealing with FSBOs and expireds, FYI. So we're at 12:05. Any questions on anything we talked about today? Any questions you have on particular deals or anything like that we can help with?
No questions, but I definitely I'd like to add in on the FSBOs. Like I totally, every single time that I have an opportunity to show up at somebody's home, I'm showing up every time. And one thing that I plan on doing this year is I've got a website here, just a little bit of a landing page. This specific landing page, it has 6 guides. I've got the seller strategy booklet, the home preparation blueprint, the pricing and positioning strategy guide, the property launch playbook, the offer negotiation playbook, and the Manitoba seller compliance guide. So I want to make sure this year, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm bringing these 6 guides with me every single time, whether it be an FSBO, whether they're just trying to get the free information per se out of me. I'm happy to give it to them, but I want to make sure that I leave this with them. And if they decide that they don't want to do it on their own, because what I'm saying in the books, if they open the books, what I'm saying makes sense to them, and they're going to go fact check it on their own. But it might just end up being too much for them, and that's when I expect to get the phone call back. And it's reciprocal, right? So if you're the only one going the extra mile, I grew up in the hospitality industry, and so one thing that I've done for my own family business is I always we have a resort here in Manitoba, my family, and I always aim at giving them the 7-star experience. And I've had guests come back to us multiple times in the same year that had been referred to us. They came there and they referred the same family to come back to us in the same year. And that's because of the 7-star experience.
100%.
Now you've built a friend.
That is our life.
We call it the white glove service. And we're big into the phrase under promise and over deliver, because most people do the exact opposite and do everything you say you're going to do. But the other part that's good about what you're bringing to the for sale by owner is you're bringing something of value. You're helping them, you're assisting them. You're not telling them you're a freaking idiot for doing it for sale by owner. You're saying, hey, I totally get the fact that you want to try it on. Let me give you a few booklets that might help you. And then, if you decide you're in over your head, here's my digits. Give me a call if I can help out. Or are you aware that you need a seller's disclosure or something like that? Do you have those forms? Would you like me to have those for you? So, because like in the States, if a seller's disclosure statement is not filled out and executed, buyer can back out up until date of closing if it's not done. And just providing them with things like that, they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Yep, that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you. And if you get a client or a buyer and you have questions, I'm here for you. And then you know what? If we don't do business together, you will know something about buying or selling down the road. I'm just here because I want to help. That's my role. Yep.
What's your URL, Dave?
Our website?
What's the URL on that site?
I'll put it in the chat here.
I think we need a site that says.
Perfect. Well, we'll take a look at those too. That's perfect.
Did it at first, and I thought, oh, we have to free David. I'm like,
yeah. You guys mentioned, have you been on the air this entire time? Podcast style?
Yeah, yes.
Are you still on the air now? Are you guys in Michigan?
Yes.
Okay, I think I heard that at the beginning of the conversation there. Whereabouts in Michigan?
Ann Arbor?
No way. That's my brother's there right now.
Yeah.
You go to school or?
Yeah, he's in school there. Yeah, yeah, playing for
Oh.
the hockey team.
Oh,
What?
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh, we went to hockey game the
Yeah,
other day.
our office is about
Real mile from the big
big
house.
house. We're right on State Street, right before the big house. So
Well, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'm hoping to make my way down there sometime this year.
it's a
Ann
real cool
Arbor.
place. Well, when you
Oh
do,
my God.
look us up because we're right on the.
It's us.
It's the main drag going into Ann Arbor toward U of M.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're very we have big basketball game tonight and then a bigger one on Saturday.
Wow, that's awesome.
We are hockey loonies. My son-in-law is a hockey player. Well, he played at college. From that.
Well, I just put his name in the chat there
I
for you.
know that name. That's yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well,
Yeah, we're battling in Michigan for hockey, so that's very cool.
Dave and Abe, yeah. So we do this every Thursday. So if you want to join us, we come up with a different topic every week that we feel might people might need some stuff on, and we'll always post it like on Tuesday in Work Vivo, some of the different places. But you can register for these, and like I said, we prefer the interactive approach as opposed to people that just kind of come sit in. We don't want to assume that we know what people want to hear. So anything we can do to help.
One quick thing for Abe. If you came on thinking we were going to talk about contracts, you have an amazing broker. Dave's your broker, right? Dave's his broker.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But make sure you get with him, learn your contracts inside and out. If you need help, if you have questions, broker's going to be your first line because you're going to be way different than we are here. But if you have just kind of questions, just let me know. We're happy to help at any point in time.
And Kathy put both of our emails at the top, and we're one of those, we don't bullshit about. Contact us anytime. I mean, we're all one big old family, and anything that we can do to facilitate your business, that's what sets Real apart. And so we were the first agents in the state of Michigan. I think we were agents around 2,100, like 21, 22, something like that. Now we're what, 33,000?
Yeah.
And we were brokers here for Michigan for 3 years. And
okay.
Then we just decided we wanted to get back just to what we do best, which is sell real estate. So
yeah.
Anything we can do to help, just let us know. All right.
Thank you. I'll send you an email for sure. And definitely appreciate all the information you provided today.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Have a great day, guys. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.